Hello and welcome back to Nikki Does. I assume you've watched my videos before, so it's got to be a welcome back. If you haven't, what in the world is wrong with you? Well, today we are going to be looking at measuring radiation, and there are a couple of really good videos out there. One of them by Jean Messier in Our Own Devices, and he talks a lot about gamma counters and scintillators and spinthariscopes and other very cool instruments for measuring radiation. This one is very practical. This one is for the ideas for measuring radon, probably solely in the basement of your home. So this is to determine if you have problems with radon that you've got to mitigate. And this one is from Airthings, which if I turn this over, before I get into that, I just want to say I got this on Amazon. It was, in my opinion, relatively cheap. My opinion is maybe not the same as other people's. I think this was $85, which is, I think, relatively cheap for something that's going to measure radiation in your home. And I suppose I could have said it's not on AliExpress or Temu or something like that for $1.80, because then you have other devices that look kind of complicated and so on that are, a couple dollars. I think this was almost 20 actually. Doesn't really matter what it is. It's well out there. It's anyway. So I guess you could say it's not cheap, but I think it's pretty inexpensive for what it is. Before I did this, I actually bought a pair of home radon test kits. And these are the kind of thing you have I don't have one here. I already sent the back. But you have a little packet of carbon granules, and you put it in the air for a couple, 3 days. And it absorbs whatever air and radioactive elements or bits that are in the air. And then you send it into a lab, and they give you a quantity of radon in kind of the same thing units you get here. So that's a lot more hassle, and I think that was like $25 for two of them, and this was $85 for one, but it's permanent and it runs forever, and it gives you an average. Anyway, we'll get into it. So I just wanted to say I think it's fairly inexpensive, and if you do spend a lot of time in your basement, because you don't have any way of detecting radiation, I would suggest strongly that you consider something like that. Not paid or sponsored in any way whatsoever, as all my videos are not paid or sponsored, as you can tell. I have to also say before we get into it, we are using the latest technology that we've acquired, the Sharpie marker. We are using that for all of our graphics here on this channel now. I'm proud of that. I'm getting better at it. So let's get into it. If you've watched for 3 minutes and 25 seconds and you're tuning away, I don't blame you one bit. It's supposed to be about a scintillation counter, not about all this other silliness. So I'm not doing any unboxing or anything. I got it on Amazon. There are two versions of this. One version is kind of their official version, and it's a lot more. It's like $130 or so. I don't know. I didn't look it up. And the other one is like $85. And from everything I can tell, the only difference is that this is the home store branded version, like Home Depot, Lowe's. If you're in the US, it would be one of these big box home retail type stores. Whereas the other version is not. I don't know. But let's get into it and we'll see. I don't have the other one to compare to, so I'm going to have this one. So it has two buttons on the back, reset and mode. It has a battery cover. It has a decal that's nicely placed around a perforated bunch of holes here. It has a serial number. It is designed in Norway, and it is made in Tunisia, which I have to say I haven't seen a lot of things made in Africa here in the US, at least. I have not seen a lot of, certainly not in Tunisia. This is probably the first product I'm aware of that I've ever seen made in Tunisia. And first impression is, holy cow. I mean, really cool. Has a micro USB connector here on the side. A dedicated display with a little watchdog beeper going on, a little indicator going on saying that the thing is happening, something's working. Two numbers you can see here, long-term and short-term average. You can tell I reset this yesterday. No, I have not started radon mitigation yet. Yes, I still am down here breathing. So I'm sure I'll get a little bit of flammage in the comments, but I do have plans underway for that. It's been running for 1 day, which is actually less than 1 day. Be cool if there's a little less than sign there. Picocuries per liter is looks like the units here. Airthings, as I mentioned, let's get into a little bit of detail. When I got it, and I did not do the unboxing, as I mentioned, but it had the cool tab that you pull out, and when you pull out the tab, it just turns on. So it came in a card with a plastic bubble over it, like a sealed package, and I just cut around the bubble and took it out. It came that way, and it was, yeah, pretty straightforward. But it still looked like it probably could have been one of those made in the cheapest area of China from the cheapest materials. That was probably the biggest thing where when I bought it, I thought this really could go poorly, but the reviews were pretty good. So I bought it from Amazon because I could always return it. To get inside, there are 4 Torx screws, and I think what we'll do is be right back with some magic. Now, I mentioned Airthings. It seemed pretty good. Like when I went to the website, which I'm not going to do the website browse here on this, you can do that on your own. When I went to their website, it looked like a good website, and they have a number of products and some internal shots of the products that led me to believe that this is actually a pretty good product. I know these holes are here, but I don't think they do anything. From the web shots, I suspect that I have a pretty good understanding of what's going to be in here, and I think it's going to be basically a scintillation counter. This is not like a smoke detector where it needs to have particles come in here. By particles, I mean molecules, atoms and molecules of smoke passing through here. So I don't suspect these holes are really actually useful. So they might just be so that you feel like it's a sensor. Well, let's take the cover off here. Wow, I'm pleasantly surprised. Look, there's the camera. I'm pleasantly surprised. That's pretty cool. That's some nice construction. I don't mind. Whoa, battery torpedo. I don't mind taking out the batteries and losing my count. So let's see here. So we've got some Pro cells made in Belgium. So this is definitely a very European product. And I would suspect, because these guys are Norvège, I would suspect the CE mark here actually does mean CE, not that Chinese equivalent CE mark that you see from time to time. Let's take a look at the molding of this too. Just to take a look at how much detail's been done here. Looks good. Certainly is a well-made. It's not terrible by any stretch. They've got ejector pins here to push. With all those little hole pins put in here, that's a tricky one. All the materials to flow around all those holes and get in here. So, but they've got an ejector pin set right around there to lift that out. The battery cover, the finish is good. The texture is good. I don't see any indication of the gate, which is nice. Yeah, I would say the molding is quite good on that. Yeah, I'm still looking for the gate where it's injected, where the plastic comes into the tool, and I'm not seeing it, which is kind of a testament. That's pretty cool. Especially a part like this. I would think it would be gated on these tabs here or something, but I'm just not seeing it at all. And this one too, unless it's a hot runner tool and it's coming in from a hot gate tool and it's coming in right there, yeah, I'm just not seeing it. I think it's right there. I think it's on the, I'll zoom in on that. For those of you who care, right in the center of that keyhole dot, that might be the gate, and that would be pretty cool, actually, if it was. I've seen this before. This KU battery holder is the same one that's used in Schlage, in the Schlage Smart Lock series. And I've bought one of these because I forgot why I broke one or lost one or something, but I've bought those. Looks like some little back of the store in Taiwan type of website, but I think they actually produce a really good product. So, yeah, and I suspect they're easy to buy from, and they're a reliable supplier. You always get the same thing, and you get it on time and everything, because these types of companies don't want to deal with companies that they have any headache about getting materials from. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then in here, we've got a couple of metallized plastic bits in here. So we've got a few things. We've got the two buttons, reset and mode. We've got a cover here that has two protrusions that hold the battery holder exactly in place. It's really clever. They didn't make their own battery holder. They just used that one, but they made it look like it's part of the overall enclosure. That's pretty. I like that. Yeah, this isn't going to be the highest volume product ever, so it would be better if they didn't mold their own battery holder and make all their spring contacts and everything else. And then we've got this. Let's get some of these off too, and I'll just do these live on camera. Let's start with this one. This looks like it transfers the button presses down to the single board. I presume it's a single board. So let's take that off. Yeah, that's got two flexi bits here to transmit those button presses down. These dots, I presume, just hold it off the circuit board, which then they would have had to do some keep out areas here on the board so you don't press on the components. It sure looks like a single board. So we'll take off, here's the two buttons. A lot of not populated, well, interestingly, let's zoom in on here before we get too far. A lot of non-populated components, which makes me wonder if the non-Home Depot style version, the slightly more expensive one, first off, the USB is completely non-functional because there's nothing attached here. There's no parts here. So this is really here just so you don't have a blank hole in here. All these are do not populate. All this stuff down in here is all do not populate. And that's clearly going to be a USB probably protection. And all this is going to be for USB, which is bizarro. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 ICs. Anything else in here? Some of these are populated. Transistor, a couple resistors, and a couple resistor capacitors up here. But I imagine that's, I don't really know why the transistor for the switch, but yeah, that's curious. But that's a lot of do not populate stuff. And then here you've got something that puts out some heat or needs some, I don't know what would have gone here, here, here. There's a lot. This makes me want to get the other one just to see what's going on. Did they consider doing a rechargeable battery in here? Do you put the USB in here and then you recharge a battery, and this would be a different battery if it was a rechargeable cell in here? I don't know what's going on, but that looks like all battery. And this goes into the inner layer, so I'm not sure what's going on with that one, but this is clearly communication. This is all battery. And then here we've got another thing. We've got some big pad here that's not populated, and an IC here that's not on. And these are Pogo test points for manufacturing testing and programming, probably. Probably more programming, I suppose, because I don't see any test points down here. It is Airthings did it, so it's not somebody's rebranded thing. And then it looks like this is just shielding. So let's pop this one off. 2 more of the same Torx screws. Zoom me back out so you don't need to see my awesome manicure. Alrighty. Take out those screws. And we'll take off the shield plate. So let's take a look at that. So that's metallized plastic, which, we know it really well, but it wasn't always a thing. It was hard to do at first. It's hard for people to figure out how to metallize plastic. Interesting article to read someday if you're interested in that. I certainly am. Then we have this can, which sure looks to me like a scintillation counter. So another metallized can with a coaxial lead, like an antenna lead. Let's pop that off the board. We'll put that aside. That'll be last. I'm going to make you watch till last for that. And then we can lift out the snirket board. There's nothing on this side. Obviously, there's a display. No LED. It's PB free. There's our USB jack, battery coming in, 2 zebra strips for the display, and I'm looking right through there. There are no components that are there, no benefit to taking that off. I have limited success taking zebra strips off and putting them back on and having them work perfectly. Plus, this is all clean in here, so that's just going to go back in there. The interesting thing here, and I'm pretty sure I know what's going to be inside that silver metallized can. As I said, scintillation counter, and a scintillation counter is going to be it's going to be basically some kind of photocell that's watching for photons hitting, kind of like a 1 pixel camera. And I'm pretty sure of that because I can see here a series of transistors, which I'm sure are amplifiers. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 stages of amplification with a bunch of stuff that I can't quite see what's going on down here on this end. Let's get my finer pointer out here. So a bunch of things out here. We got some 8 or so pin and 6 pin and 5 pin devices here. There's a not populated device over here. So I'm quite sure this is going to be an amplifier that's going to take the small signal from this counter and amplify it up. So the reason all this is shielded is because you're looking for like a few electrons coming off of this. There will be some dark current just from the heat, just from the fact that there's heat. That'll cause a couple of, that'll make a bit of voltage. Let's see if we can get this open. I hope it's not sealed in any way. I'm just going to go under here and give it a little pry, and it looks like it's, yeah, it looks like it's opening. So it looks like it's just pressed together. And let's see what we've got here. I'm sure there would be a faster way to just rip it open, but I'd like this to work again and look nice when I'm done. It's like Christmas. The anticipation is killing me. Ooh, that's a nice fit. Ah, yes. Okay, so there's nothing in here, but it is metallized. And then there is only one thing in here. It is a large, shielded, basically a photocell. And if you look, it's like a camera or a solar cell. And if you look, it's 1 pixel. And that 1 pixel goes only to the center conductor on this coaxial cable, this tiny coaxial cable. It's like what you see inside of your Wi-Fi antenna for your laptop if you've taken those apart. Very small coax. When I say very small, I'll compare it to something else from the 1960s, 70s, 80s sort of thing. This is a type N connector. You can see there's a center pin and there's a perimeter and there's that reddish insulating material inside there. And then that's a more modern one. I think that's TNC. I don't remember what this one was called. SMA, I think. I don't remember which one this is. But that one gets smaller, still coaxial. And then, of course, you go here, which is still quite a bit smaller. So evolution of these connectors. In any case, little coaxial jumper cable right there. No expense spared, because a lot of times that would just be soldered on this side because they wouldn't want to spend on both. But here you can see this is laser marked, laser etched with the part number and lot number. I can't imagine this. I guess this is year 20. Oh, it's not focusing. Year 22, month 8, week 18. That's my best guess on that. But 2218-1. It's a lot number, not a serial number. And then there's the photo cell. I was going to try to get my face hole in there, but it's not really. I can't find me. Is that me? Oh, that's Rockin' Cat. That's my shirt. All right. So, yeah, so this takes a single photon of energy that can pass through this metal shielded can. And that's the key, is that, well, you know, light's not going to get through there, but higher energy photons can sneak through here. So we're looking for higher energy photons, and in that case, they are going to be radioactive, ionizing radiation. So that's really what we've got going on here. Yeah, that's really nicely done. Way to go, Airthings Norvège. Nicely done. I don't think there's anything else to see in here. So let's put it back together, and let's just take a look at the modes and some of the other details of how it works. So I just gave that a little squeeze, and I'll put this in here, and I'll gently push that connector back on there so as not to destroy it. That locks in too, huh? Yeah, that's got a... I didn't notice that. That has a protruding tang there, which sits under here. Everything is nicely done. I mean, it's well thought out. Boy, that is good. I'm happy I bought this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is really cool. All right. Well, I will get this back together, and we'll see if we can remove the fingerprints, and we will be back in a moment. All right, it's almost all back together. I just didn't put the external screws in, but let's get some batteries in it. Well, let's do that again. Okay, there we've got a self-test. Oh, look at that. It had a Wi-Fi type indicator on it, or a wireless indicator. Battery low. The only thing I see here is the short-term average. Looks like there's a trend indicator. There's a communication, that watchdog, and some kind of a, I don't know, fan. And that looks like a version number. 1868 4994, and we had a smaller number here too. 0. Is that always 0? Yeah. And then probably a battery voltage is my guess on that one. Calibrating, which it's going to measure the current off of the that single element photo detector. That was interesting. It went faster for just a little bit. And there we go. And it has no reading yet. Huh. Now, while we wait for anything to happen with that, let's just take a look at the manual here, and we won't start with the Norsk. We're going to switch right over to the English. Fairly small, describes all the bits to it. Number 12 is USB input, but we know that that's not going to do anything. It says for the manufacturer only. Well, in this case, it's actually not for anybody. Interestingly, it says here that the measurement indicator, the unit of measure is becquerel per cubic meter, but it's not. This is actually in picocuries per liter. And from the reset, it didn't look like that was something that you could switch. So the display here shows becquerels per cubic meter. Getting started, pull out the tab, as I mentioned. It calibrates, counts up to a minimum of 50. It should take less than 30 seconds. The dashes tell you that you'll get nothing, and it typically takes from 6 to 24 hours to get your initial radon calculation. The instrument indicator up here, this dot will flash, as we said, to show that it's working, that it's not basically locked up. They have some placement details in here. The first day is an indication you want a longer period. So if you see error, you're supposed to press reset, remove and reinsert the battery, and yeah. So then long term, it updates once a day, and it can run for up to a year for the long-term average. The short-term average alternates between showing radon values for the last day and for the last 7 days. The long-term average is intended. All right, so then a lot of stuff about when you should basically start to mitigate your radiation. They talk about 100 becquerels per cubic meter, that you should have an annual average concentration below that. And you're supposed to move this around for at least a week in all the living areas. Reset is used to restart the instrument before a new measurement. It removes all the stored data. Mode is used to get information on the number of measurement days since the instrument was started since the last time a reset. Replace the battery when the indicator is low. And of course, when you replace the battery, all the data gets lost, which it's kind of a shame there isn't a supercapacitor in there to hold the data in. But honestly, it would be cool to me if there was a way to get the data out of it also and get it into your, say, your Home Assistant or something like that. And then this last part just says you're supposed to do a good job of throwing it away if you're done with it. So it says it meets the accuracy values set out in the specification table unless the unit has measured continuously high radiation levels, thousands of becquerel per meter over several years. So you would degrade the sensor if that were the case. Oh, there's a US version English too. That's interesting. Oh, I'd be curious what the difference is between... Oh, that's in picocuries per liter. Why would the English be in becquerel per square meter and the English is in picocuries per liter? I didn't even see that. I wonder if there are any other differences, really, if they say like schedule in the not US English and schedule, as we would say here in the US, on this one. Well, I don't know, but I'm not going to waste your time trying to figure it out. What I can say in summary is that it is an amazingly high quality instrument, and it is truly an instrument. If you want to measure the radon levels in your living spaces, I give this a thumbs up. If you want to get more data out of it, I'm a bit disappointed. And if I didn't have 8 billion other projects that I'm trying to accomplish, yes, I am human, I would be interested to figure out if there is some data coming off that microcontroller. Oh, I didn't mention it's a TMS 430 based, Texas Instruments TMS 430 microcontroller. And I did take a quick peek at it before while I was reassembling it, and I did look at the data sheet, and it does not have native USB, so there must be a USB to UART converter that chip is missing. So yeah, so it's not like a Raspberry Pi or some RP2040, a Pico, where it has USB built onto the chip. So I wouldn't be surprised if you could do a little bit of pokey and look around with, say, a Dangerous Prototypes, what is that thing, a bus pirate, and do some hacking in this to find out what's going on, if there is some data that could come out of it. I would also be interested, and let me know in the comments if I should acquire the more expensive version and see if that one, the USB port, is actually live. If you review Airthings website, they do have a substantially more expensive, as in like $1,000 device that's for home inspectors who would go through your home and verify before you buy your home, or if you have concerns, that your radon levels are acceptable. And that one does have communications and traceability and all sorts of stuff. So this is clearly the home gamer, and my suspicion is they initially were enthusiastic about putting this in and determined that when they have communication out of here, they're not selling enough of their $1,000 super certified and probably very awesome pieces of equipment. But I would very much love to have, because I'm a data freak, I would love to have some data coming out of this that I could check radon levels of 12 of these things throughout my house and just see what the radon levels are like all through the basement. And the other thing I would like would be the ability to power it, which if you plugged it into USB, it would get powered by USB, which would also help you if you want to change the batteries out, you wouldn't lose the data. So at the very minimum, it seems like they should have made the USB active to power it. So you could just put a mobile phone charger in with a USB cable, and that would power this instead of batteries, or in addition to batteries, really. So you could put, my thing would be to put lithium batteries in here, not lithium ion rechargeables, but primary lithium batteries in here, and then power it off USB. Power fails, you still have the data up in it, and you have your long-term average for a year. The way it stands now, power fails here relatively often in the summer when we have storms, so I would never have a 1 year long-term average on this ever. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and like I say, if you want to know more about this, if you want me to dig in, look at some other models and things like that, let me know in the comments. Do subscribe. I'm toying around with the idea that I would love to have some more subscribers without putting into more effort, because I have no extra time for editing. So if you would like more stuff here, I would love for you to subscribe. I'm considering giving this one away if I get the more advanced one, or the more expensive one, which may be more advanced. I'm considering giving this one away to one of my subscribers if we're able to hit a metric. So let me know if you think that is a cool idea too. I would send this off to somebody who wants to measure the radon levels in their home. Thank you for watching, as always. I hope you found it useful. I enjoyed making it, but mostly I hope you found it useful, and hope to see you on another video.